Officers that are here.
7 o'clock, we call the regular board meeting, Richmond Township Board of Trustees to order. Start the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, we have tonight, roll call. Okay.
Sure, Cindy Greenup.
Here.
Gabriela Fontaine. Here. Krista Rose.
Here.
Elaine Waterstrap. And Bert Coleman.
Here.
Thank you. Next item we have tonight is a presentation of agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to add or remove from the agenda tonight? I would just like to add under public comment here at the beginning, item B, just invite Terry Gibbs to speak on the sponging law presentation. Hearing nothing else, we can motion to accept the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Support.
Support.
All in favor,
Aye.
next item we have is the public comment. First item under public comment on agenda items, we have the Richmond Township February 8th agenda for the CTBG public hearing for Richmond Township. I call that meeting to order at 7:01. Everybody have the agenda in front of them tonight? Anything they'd like to add or remove from this agenda? Okay, do we not get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next item we have is the block grant funds allotted for the 2023 CDBG funding. We have included in your estimated printouts a lot of CDBG information there. The amount that we're getting on the second page is the $22,570. So with that being said, I'll jump into the next item, to hear request for the CDBG fund. So I know we have Chair House here tonight, so podium.
I would like to present as well.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
come on up. I thought you were with your house.
I'm interfaith volunteer caregiver, so I just have some information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't need them if you want.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Sheila McCann. I'm the volunteer coordinator with Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers. For 30 years, our organization has been providing free basic assistance to hundreds of frail and older and physically challenged adults. We help them to remain safely in their homes with over 200 volunteers. Such assistance has been helping older disabled adults with transportation, chores, respite breaks, errands, and loneliness. These opportunities provide fulfilling experiences for those who wish to volunteer, as well as support for those in need. With the number of older adults in Macomb County rapidly increasing, the need for support will continue to do so well into the future. The CDBG Safe at Home project of IDC, part of our larger chore and repair program for older and disabled adults. The project was developed to provide additional chore and repair service in communities that allocate funding for this purpose. The project allows us to assist low and moderate income seniors and physically challenged adults with indoor and outdoor chores, minor home repairs, and routine housekeeping. We identify individuals who cannot do these tasks on their own and have limited resources and prioritize those greatest in need. We are requesting the CDBG funds to increase the number of low-income citizens we can reach to grow our program, as well as coordinate the volunteers who do these services. In 2022, we were able to serve almost 470 clients with almost 200 volunteers at the Safe at Home program. With the funding year halfway over, we've already almost doubled the amount of completed tasks compared to the number projected. We are confident it is due to the additional CDBG funding. We would love to expand our support, including the Save at Home project, further into the community. We hope for funding for the 2023-2024 program year, so we can build momentum and offer this service to more of those in need. The appreciation for assistance is heartwarming from seniors, such as a woman who we helped install the new toilet when she didn't have one that functioned. Another senior who we helped, we decluttered her home, took the donations to Salvation Army and St. Vincent de Paul's. These are just a few examples of the help through this project, replacing locks, washing windows, and installing smoke alarms. With the CDBG funding, the project can grow and assist and can grant a variety of low-income Richmond Township senior citizens and disabled adults. Thank you to everyone tonight for your consideration. Any dollar amount granted is greatly appreciated for our program. If you know any senior who can utilize our services or assistance, please give them our number, 586-757-5551, or go on our website, www.idcinfo.org, and those are all in your packets as well. Any questions?
How many have you serviced that live in Richmond Township?
I don't have the exact numbers. It's very few. It's dependent on our volunteers because our program is solely ran through volunteers, which is amazing. But through our community outreach, such as presentations like this, our community is growing to further and further rural populations.
Okay, and the other question I was going to ask you was, you can put that phone number and your email or your website address on our website, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That would be wonderful.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Bird? No questions? Elaine?
I just wanted to know, if people are in need of this type of care, do they automatically, how do they know to reach out to a place like your place?
So through these community outreaches, we are on the list of like 211, Area Agency on Aging 1B, which services Macomb, Oakland, St. Clair counties. They have our information of what we can do. Any other community resource, we're pretty well known on the referral source.
Do they apply for this? Do they apply for assistance?
So our intake is very easy for the senior or disabled adults. They just would call our office, and we need very little information. We do serve those in need, so we do take the poverty and low income, kind of prioritize those, but we don't turn anyone away. We're in greatest need also of volunteers because we can't complete these tasks without the volunteers. But with funding sources from the CDBG, grant funding through different communities, approximately on average it takes about $74 to complete a chore. Whether it's supplying the materials for a fall cleanup or leaky faucets, anything like that. We also try to supply the goods needed to do so.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sean.
Next item we have a motion to discuss board discussion for the meeting.
So moved.
Support. So you've heard we've had interfaith volunteers. How the board.
Did we get any letters from someone asking for a donation, for the blood records?
I have not seen anything come through.
How did they get these amounts then?
So if you look at the back, what's connected with that packet, the county approves these as public service agencies that are approved that meet all the criteria. And then they give them, they will ask through the county what they're looking for from each community. So, however, we cannot give less than $1,500 to one public service agency. So since we don't have 3,000, we're going to have to allocate all of ours to one. So.
And you didn't hear from Karen?
We did not?
It really
Oh, no, we did. I'm sorry. We did invite them. Sorry.
Yes, they called, reached out last month, wanted to know the time and the date.
You have to provide that pretty quickly after we got that. Which is unusual. Usually they do
This is the first one I've ever seen of this.
Right.
We've been here a long time.
You've been here a long time, Ken.
Okay, so with that being said, we don't have to approve that, we already have that down under new business to approve, so it's just a discussion opportunity. So, any more discussion before we move on? Hearing none, the next item will be to adjourn the CDBG public hearing. Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Support. All fair side?
Aye.
All right, next item we have under public comment, item B would be Terry Gibb from MSU Extension. William, the all yours.
Thank you. Do you have the maps? I brought some of the block.
I love that.
Do you?
I would love that.
Thank you so much.
We do a new business, but we'll give it
Thank you. No, I'm fine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This was colored. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Terry Gibb, and I'm with MSU Extension, and I've been administering the, used to be Gypsy Moth, now Spongy Moth program for Macomb County since it began back in 1992. So, here in Macomb, throughout the entire time that we've been doing this program, we've been doing hotspots. You may have heard up north, it really actually came to our attention way back in 1990 when county commissioners up north were getting inundated and they were spraying, thousands of acres. We don't spray thousands of acres, we have hotspots, and which is good, which is good. So, Lymantria dispar is the scientific name of what we used to call gypsy moth, and the new name spongy moth was changed, and it was changed that refers to the moth's fluffy, spongy-like egg masses that you see in early spring. Spongy moth is a foreign pest with few native predators to keep populations in check. Caterpillars feed on the tree leaves, preferring those of oak, aspen, poplar, and birch, but will feed on over 500 different trees and shrubs. Just to clarify, spongy moth caterpillars do not cause premature leaf drop, browning, or curling of leaves. They do not make webs or tents in the tree. So if you see that, that's not that. That Eastern tent caterpillar, forest tent caterpillar, there's a lot of things, but it's not gypsy moth. And I'm sorry, I've been doing it for 30 years, so I'll keep flipping back to gypsy moth because that's how I know it. So what large populations of the caterpillars can and will do is they can defoliate entire woodlots, and they are definitely a nuisance to residents if the numbers get high enough. Spongy moth cannot be eradicated, so what the program does is it seeks to suppress it down to tolerable levels. So, and that's one of the reasons for the program. There are 4 reasons. One is to reduce the infestation down to tolerable levels. Second is to preserve tree foliage and reduce tree stress. Third is to prevent the indiscriminate use of chemical controls. And 4 is to provide educational information. Now, tree defoliation by the caterpillar is probably the most noticeable. It's July, like up in Memphis 2 summers ago, and you went down Main Street and the trees look like January, you notice it right away. And that has a significant impact on the trees. The goal of the program is to keep defoliation below 40% of the tree canopy. Because once it gets over 40%, then if it's a deciduous tree, it will release. But when it relieves, it uses the reserves that is needed to make it through the winter. And so then what happens is then the tree gets stressed. And I'll tell you right up front, I tell everybody this, gypsy moth does not kill trees. What gypsy moth does is it weakens a tree and stresses a tree, which allows other predators and viruses to then attack the tree, and that's what kills the tree. So that's kind of a big thing. Evergreens, and we have a lot of calls about people losing evergreens, is because they do not release. The needles go, the tree dies. There's no second chances for that. In addition to the damage to the trees, spongy moth, during their annual life cycle, can be a nuisance if populations are at two stages. One is when the caterpillars come out, if there are enough of them, the caterpillars and their frass or feces can drop down from the trees onto sidewalks, driveways, yards, porches, people, vehicles, you name it. And that happens early May through June. And then once the caterpillar pupates into the moth, the end of July, early August, then you've got moths everywhere. And we were down, when programs restarted back in July or August of 2018. One of my staff was down there talking to a resident in Clinton Township, and they could not stand outside in the afternoon. There were that many moths flying around. It was kind of bad. And then finally, the hairs on the caterpillar. You've seen the caterpillar, it's not a very pleasant looking thing, but it's got these hairs on it. And there's a small segment of the population that are allergic to that. And it can cause problems for them. Bacillus thuringiensis, or more commonly known as BT or BTK, is a naturally occurring bacteria found in soils and has been used for the spongy moth control in northeast Michigan and northeast U.S. since 1991, and in Michigan since 1985. It's also used in organic farming. So I asked this question, I asked a lot of people. As a kid, did you ever, on purpose or on accident, eat dirt? Then you have ingested BT. So how the BT works is it's an aerial spray, so it covers the canopy of the tree. What the caterpillars do is they crawl up in the day, feed on the leaves. At night, they come back down. So we need to get it up there where they are feeding. But there's a very short time frame in there because if they're too small, they won't eat the leaves. If they get too big, beyond the 30 instar, then whatever the BT does when they ingest it doesn't impact them anymore. So we have a very short timeline, and then on top of that, you've got a ton of weather conditions that you have to look at as well. So BT will not harm humans, pets, birds, fish, butterflies, plants, beneficial insects, or even other moths. And the majority of that reason is, number one, is very target specific, but second of all, is when we spray is before almost all of any of these are out. You know, butterflies aren't out yet, but the moths aren't, they're just not there. We do recommend alternative mechanical methods when possible, but if there's a lot of trees, it just doesn't seem to work, and that includes tree banding, scraping the egg masses, and that helps, but with anybody with a lot of trees or a large area, they start it, but you can't keep it up. Okay, I'll start with the good news. As you know, gypsy moth, spongy moth, is a cyclical pest. What it does, it starts and it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. Once it hits a certain level, it crashes. Mostly because there's not enough food for the number of caterpillars. So then it crashes and then we go down. But as soon as it hits bottom, then it starts building again. So we have this cyclical. But during this low part is when we usually don't have to spray because it is so low. And right now, I think, based on what we're seeing over the last 2 years, we are really in the downswing. That's the good news. To give you some things, in 2020, we sprayed over 1,650 acres in the county. The next year, we sprayed about 850 acres, and this year, we are less than 360. So, unfortunately, you're part of that 360.
I was going to say, we got a good chunk of that.
But then it is what it is. And that doesn't include anything from HCMA. They are also surveying, and they haven't told me what they've got yet. This year, we did something a little different based on some of the findings from last year. Is in addition to contacts from some residents, we have been going back and looking at areas which this doesn't include your township because you've only been sprayed twice. We went and looked because we found the areas in Clinton Township that we sprayed last year and we sprayed 15 or 20 years ago. I told you can't suppress it. They can't really aggregate, you only suppress it. So we sprayed, it was down for 15 or so years, and then it came up high enough again to be sprayed. So we started going back and looking at old blocks that were sprayed to make sure that we weren't missing anything. So anyways, I originally estimated you had 73 acres, and then when we digitized the maps for the applicator, that dropped, huge, down to 65.7. And what that, if you look at the area, that includes a portion of the Memphis Cemetery, again, on the north end, plus the tree lots on the north and west of that. The spray cost, I talked with the applicator, it's $130 an acre, and that's what it's going to be. So your $130 an acre times 65.7 is $8,541. And as I said, currently the county, we have 4 communities with 5 spray blocks this year. So, and how the program's going to work, it'll be pretty much the same as last year. Each community will have a separate contract with the applicator that I'll, make sure gets taken care of and everything. So I'll take care of the adjusted air permit, which is one of the things I need from you fairly quickly. I think I sent you the template. Okay, so you can get that back into me. If you vote not to spray, then, if I have it and it's gone in, we can just omit you. That's not a problem. We've done that in the past. So with congested air permit, then the contracts, I'll make sure, because I always find some little thing wrong with one of the contracts. One of the names is wrong, 2 numbers get transposed. So I go through all that, make sure everything's good before I send it to you, get them back and send in. The only thing that we're going to do different this year, because I've had in the past couple of years, one community or another forgets to pay the bill. And I hear about it in July. So what I'm going to have everybody do is I'll send out the contract, and we'll go ahead and digital sign it, and I'm going to have you send me the check when I have all the checks. They'll still be made out to the applicator, then I will send them on, and that way I can make sure everything is done. I'll just add it to my checklist. So, but anyway, so that's what we're going to do. The county, as you know, covers all the administration costs. That includes all the fall surveying that was done, all the map creation, resident notifications, because we do notify. You actually only have 2, so that's good in your spray block. But every resident is notified by mail about spraying. And we can't give them an exact date because we don't know when it is. We tell them, and we tell them what we're using and all that. So we will take care of that. Spray day costs. Post-spray activities. Post-spray activities includes we come back out to the spray blocks, and that's how we knew you were probably going to get sprayed. When we did the defoliation surveys last August, we were in there and we saw one area that, for whatever reason, that there was still a lot of egg masses there that shouldn't have been there. So we kind of knew that, but we do a defoliation survey to see, and I think I sent you the report from last year, and I think the highest we had in any spray block was 15% defoliation. And that's well below 40%. So we're happy that it seems to be working. We haven't lost any trees other than we've lost before spraying. So Extension and the county have a lot of resources on its webpage. You can download any of those. Feel free to make copies, give them to your residents. So if you Google macomb.gov.org and then search gypsy moth, they may have updated to spongy moth. I know they're in the process, as we know, updating their whole website. It'll take you to our webpage, and there's a lot of things there, more information. So, any questions? I know I went kind of fast.
I do have a question, only because I was looking into it a little bit. So, I was reading that they spray twice. Well, this was Purdue University, their extension. Do you spray twice,
No.
or do we need to have that done twice?
No. I have to go back and think about this. No, we have never sprayed twice in 1 year, in one season, all right? I used to be able to say we've never had to spray a second year in area, but now, you are this year one hand, but 2 years ago, Clinton Township, we had to respray one of their areas because they just, we try to do the best we can on getting the caterpillars of the right size, and that particular year, the caterpillars would not hatch in Clinton Township, and they were almost too big for it to work in Shelby. I know it's backwards, but that's what happened, and so we had to spray. And as a result, we ended up having to spray that lot the second time the next year because they just wouldn't hatch. So, but normally we don't know. I know that there are ones that do that, and if the infestations are bad enough, like in Pennsylvania, they've been bad enough that they needed to spray.
Yeah, this was the Indiana, but I just thought that maybe that was a normal occurrence that they were replacing.
And we've been very fortunate, and even up north, my counterpart does the Ross Common program, and 2 years ago, they sprayed 26,000 acres, and they did not spray twice, they sprayed once. So I think it depends on what's going on. How much money they have.
Yeah. Whether they're gonna say, oh, because we had a harsh winter, now more spongy moths.
You know, that's one of the things that's hard to say. I said before, we've had really early springs, or, you know, a few years ago, we didn't have a real bad winter. I said, oh, this is gonna start early. It ended up being the latest we've ever sprayed that. You just can't guess. There's no way of guessing. So I've stopped guessing.
Okay.
Any other questions, Elaine?
So you did do this last year, though, you said?
Last 2 years.
The last 2 years. So typically then, I guess it's not all the time, because you said that it'll have
Yeah,
that
it's
curve down, so it's like, okay.
The only community that's really lucky and has sprayed almost every year we've had the program is Shelby. Because that's where it started in the county, is in Shelby. And they just have always had infestations moving around.
You've got the cemetery on you, Jerry.
Pardon?
Do you know how many acres are in the cemetery? Because isn't the cemetery,
When we sprayed the cemetery last year, it was 11.6.
isn't the cemetery Memphis property? City of Memphis.
I only remember paying one bill, but I had to look. 1 year.
I'm just wondering, what far is that? City of Memphis.
I think if they have
That's why I'm thinking if they sprayed there, it probably went to the city.
That's what
Because I don't remember paying them last year or getting the bill from them.
I'm just wondering how many acres are, that doesn't look like the entire cemetery.
No, I don't think it is. I just think it's the
I'm just
northern
wondering how
portion.
many acres are there.
That was the only place that we saw.
You're not going to the city of Memphis to get money, in other words.
No, City of Memphis, as far as I know, is not spraying this year.
Yeah.
They sprayed a lot of
Yeah,
times
they
last
sprayed
year.
a lot of that.
Let's see.
Well,
You would go to them and say, well, that's money.
I don't know how many acres, if there's not a lot of trees there either, it's not.
Right.
I just wondering.
Any other questions? Either end? Well, thank you, Terry. We're on to other good business later on.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Terry.
Okay. Moving on, the next item we have tonight is the approval of the minutes from the January 11th, 2023 regular board meeting and the minutes from the January 30th, 2023 special board meeting. Everybody had an opportunity to review your minutes? So, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Support?
Support.
All fair side?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item we have tonight is the consent agenda. We have the building department report, EMS report, office manager report, planning commission report, and the NEMC minutes. Anything anybody would like to remove from the consent agenda tonight? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
Okay.
Support?
I'll support.
All fair side?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, motion carried. Next item we have tonight are the financial reports. We're going to list the bills from Kathy in the packet. Any questions we have for tonight? I always look left first for some reason.
Oh, I already asked my question, I'm good. Oh, you know, I do have a question. Sure. What kind of a building permit is only $75?
It's going to be a reinspection or something.
Yeah. Oh, is that right? Wow, we put down for
There's a certification fee and then there's a inspection fee and,
Oh, so it's not just, it's just permit.
no, they'll trail it back to the original and they'll catch the extra inspections and then they'll move that. Does that make sense? Sure.
Any other questions for Kathy on the bill? Hearing none, the motion will be
in the general fund, fire funds, we have $1,380,763.51. The tax disbursement account, $436,733.65. Other PNC accounts, as combined above, $464,583.63. Investment accounts, at the time I did this, we had $214,783.33. North Star, at the time I did this, we had $7,775.24. And the PDR account has $19,463.15. The reason I mentioned at the time we did this, so there was a Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union CD that came due February 2nd, and it was in the amount of $81,314. So we took that money and $18,686 from the tax collection, the administrative fee, and put a $100,000 CD at North Star. Thank you, Tom. The CD is for 18 months. It comes due 8/7/24. It is at 3.55%. So this will look a little bit different next month, but I'm hoping it's a good move and a good use of those administrative, fees. So that's all I got.
Great, thank you so much. Any questions for Treasurer tonight? Hearing none, the Treasurer's report will stand as presented. Thank you. Next item we have tonight is farmland preservation. First.
Yeah, we had a meeting today at Ray Township this morning. We approved the expenditures for the appraisal on the Falker property that's going into the federal program. Updated everybody on the personal property, which is moving forward. I don't know if Kathy's got anything to add, but that seems to be moving forward. There's a few glitches, but nothing major there. I am going to be attending the state board meeting next Tuesday with Kenny Cook. They're issuing their money for this year next Tuesday in Lansing. So we'll be attending that meeting. So, other than that, that's it.
Anybody call the office asking about if they could put their property in?
I've had people call me.
I've had a couple people ask inquire about it.
And I've been telling them, come and give an application. It tells you a lot right there. You just go over it. People. See, the state only has 4 people apply this year. But they're able to buy another 500 acres they're able to buy this year. But they have the option, they have over $800,000 still left in the account that they,
That's why she was calling.
yeah, that's, you were able to call up and want to know if we had our application and everything. She'd like to see that money move.
Right, for sure.
So,
Okay. I'll encourage people to come in and get the application. Okay. Any other questions for Vernon Harley? Thank you so much. Next item we have tonight is the building report.
Yeah, not much before, really, since the last meeting, we did finally, use plows for a little salt, but that was all melted away on us now, so, the blood drive went very well, thanks for the use of the building, I think 38 total, units of blood were collected that day. That's all.
Any questions for Jeff tonight? Or any building concerns? Hearing none, we'll move on to the assessor's report. I'd like to update the back tonight. Is there anything more like we can take back to Christine this month? Hearing none, we'll keep moving on to the library report.
I do have the library
Fantastic,
report.
let's hear it.
Okay, so I've been talking to Julianne Cameron, and she did give me the link to an updated link so that we put it on our township page so that it'll take them directly to the library, so they can see all that information. So we don't have to update that constantly, so it won't be done twice. So that was a good thing. And then she also told me about a lot of things that were going on in the library right now. So access that to find out what all these things are happening, because there's a lot going on. I'm just gonna give you a couple of things. There is a lot. So, they are having the spring puzzle sale that's going on March 25th. It's coming up, and the spring book sale that's going on, and they take donations for that. And what I thought was really, I'm going to tell you the other one that I thought was interesting was that they have help for SAT tests and ACT tests through the library, and it's through this tutor.com, and they can take these pre-tests and everything like that. I thought it was really good information, because who doesn't want to do good on that? So they can access it with their library card and PIN. So if you don't have a library card, we have a link for that on our township page too, so it's good information.
Yeah, I'll be sending somebody that way.
That's right, you should do that. I think it's great practice.
Excellent. Any questions for Elaine on the library?
I'm excited that link's gonna be on there, because I know you've been talking about she was gonna get that for us for a while, and she did, which is awesome.
It's great. So whenever they update it, everyone will already automatically
Just click on there, and they'll be right at the library. They can see all the events, and
It's good stuff.
I like it.
Chris knows it. I already gave it to Sherry, did it?
Yay.
Thank you so much, Wayne. You better do this library report, so we can do with it too. We're gonna get the word out there too.
Yeah,
more than
I think
anything.
it's good.
Okay, well, if nothing else on that, then we'll go on to our recreation report. We do have an item under there. Just want to get a motion to discuss the social media that the recreation board wants to propose. So get a motion, please.
I'll make that motion.
Your support?
Support.
All right.
Okay, so at our last recreation advisory board meeting, we are starting to put a calendar together of events that we'd like to try. And one of the things that 3 or 4 of the board members said was, does the township have a Facebook page? To which I responded, gosh, that's been something that we've been advised against for numerous reasons, because people just want to get angry out there and say mean things and all those wonderful things. And so they said, well, do you think there's any way we could have one specifically under the guise of the advisory board, and that we could just post, for instance, our Easter egg hunt that we're having on March 25th, and give the particulars, and maybe have Chris send that information out to Constant Contact. So I put the email out to let you know I'd like to talk about it. I contacted Chris Brindle and asked her if we were to do this, if she would be the administrator, because we would need someone to allow people to join, and we would need someone to look at the comments and decide whether they were constructive criticism, which is something that's okay. Like with the egg hunt, it's going to be our first ever one. So I fully expect people that come to say, maybe you could do it this way next time or whatever. And those are not bad comments, you know. Like, you don't want to get into this, my kid did blah, 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 blah. So we would need an administrator for that. And so Chris agreed that if her and I sat down together and kind of set it up and went over everything, she would be willing to do that. I don't think there's going to be a lot of work with it, really. We're not, you know, we only have 2 or 3 other events we're talking about right now. And so I did contact Sherry, because I always like to make sure that we're not doing something that our attorney goes, what were you thinking? Why didn't you ask me about that? So I'm going to read you the thoughts that she had on that. I'm sure you understand, as noted in your email, that monitoring/administration of the page could be most challenging aspect. It is challenging to balance responding to valid criticism while potentially blocking inappropriate content, whatever that may be. It is suggested that in developing the page, the purpose or mission statement is clearly set out so people know what to expect. Also, make it clear that inappropriate content will be removed and blocked with the Facebook page administrator being the sole judge. Further disclaim any liability for inaccurate content that might accidentally get posted. You may not always see or find, and again, stay on top of all that may be challenging, inaccurate or misleading items that may be posted. So my thought was there, if you guys are okay with us doing this, that I would maybe find that language on some other similar pages and pass it along to Sharon to make sure that I'm addressing everything she said before we went ahead and started with it. But I don't want to do that if you folks are like, no, we don't want to get into that. So that's what's important. They're like, well, can't we just do it? I'm like, no, I got 4 other people to ask permission. Because I mean, Kathy, you and I have been at things, you're like, oh, Facebook pages can be awful. So we don't want to get into that. But, so I don't know how you feel, but I told them I'd ask you folks and get your yay or nay on it. And either way, I'll just go back and tell them.
I think it's worth trying, you can always pull it off, you can always take it down. Yeah. You know, and if we're gonna do it specifically for that, I think we can, you know, control it to some degree. And if it doesn't work out, you simply pull it off. But I think it would be a good way to do your advertising.
Whether you like the social media aspects or not, I mean, that's kind of how
Yeah, it's how people,
hear about things, but as long as we have those fail safes in place, I mean, the administrator, and, I mean, you can see it when you join a group, and you do this, this, and this, and if you can't, they put all that right out there sometimes.
Right, and I'm probably, like I said, I'm going to go on some other pages that are similar to see what their verbiage says, and then send it to Sharon and say, will this do?
Right.
So,
And I like 2 people, never have one ever.
Right.
Always
right,
2
well, because
people.
then if they don't like somebody,
Exactly.
they just strictly won't put it on
Sure.
there, whether it should be on there or not.
Right.
What do you think, Glenn?
I think it's fine. Well, you know, I just think about it, and the more that I think about it, when I read those, when I read like the iHeart or Meta, or whichever one that I'm reading, I mean, unless it could become, I guess, at some point, you know, really popular. If it grows and grows, and if this grows, you know, it could be where people are always on there and voicing their opinion, they can get.
And that's why we have an administrator, 2 of them, so that, and let people know if you're going to come on here and be nasty, we're not posting. And I think if we start out and genuinely do that, so that people don't ever read on here, you're idiots, you're stupid, that kind of thing, they'll get the idea.
Why would you, yeah, I wonder if you always have to necessarily have a comment available. Do you always have to have that? Or is it, or do we want that? Do you want that?
I don't know, maybe we
that
don't.
stuff?
I have seen some pages where it's just strictly post. I mean, how do you, that might be the way to do it. That might be the way to,
Get the library, do they get comments back? Or is it just an
I don't even know if they
page?
have, well, it's just their website.
my only thought with letting them comment was, like I said, if we have our egg on, and, you know, I'm hoping for 20 people. I mean, I'm not overreaching, it's going to be the first one, or, you know. But if we have people that say, you know, I liked it, but I've gone to this one for years, and they do this that way, maybe consider that next year, or something of that nature. I don't know that I would mind seeing that on there, just to get feedback. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just kind of listening to you guys to get your feedback.
Well, it's a big experiment, but I think we have options to either not letting the comment, or restricting the comments, or screening that, so we have some options there. And then, like Chris said, if it all else fails, pull forward. I would be in favor of that.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
I know.
oh, yeah, exactly.
It's the weeds.
It is, that's the thing.
And they do get the monkey survey if you're done
Yeah.
with your content.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, you can send out monkey
Put a
surveys.
survey instead of
Exactly.
getting the comments, and then we could just get, oh, that might be a good one. So when the event is over, put one of those on the page, and then what people click on them, and that might be the thing to do, then we don't get comments on there.
Great thing to do.
But we still get feedback if you're doing a good job of responding.
And it's still advertising too.
And I'm only saying monkey because you know that one's free.
That's what I know.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea.
It's great.
So
Why
you're,
don't you make a motion?
yeah.
Motion would be in order to,
Authorize the Richmond Township Recreation Advisory Board to have a Facebook page to share events and happenings with administrators. Let's see how I want to do that. And to look for their comments with surveys after events. Oh, are we good with that? That way, Elaine, we're eliminating
Oh, yeah.
nastiness.
I'm just
I don't want
whatever
that.
you
No,
want
we
to do.
don't.
Somebody, once it gets big, I just think, okay,
No,
make
no,
it be, there's an hour
people get-
responding to people.
I like the survey thing because then we're still getting what I want.
And if you want to, I guess, you can always change it.
Right. No, that would be it. That would be my very lengthy motion.
I like
Lori's
it.
going,
I like it, it covers it, so motion's on the table.
And I'll support it.
great.
All fair side?
Aye.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so social media is done, do we have anything else for recreation?
So a couple of other things. We have heard nothing yet on the Spark grant application. Originally, we were supposed to know on the 23rd, and then it was supposed to be the week of the 30th, and I've not heard yet, so, you know, my little heart of hearts, I'm hoping that they're just really pulling through it, you know. But, so I don't have any news on that yet, and as soon as I do get some news, I will share it with everybody. You did get the information about the egg hunt. It's going to be the 25th of March. It's going to start at 1 p.m. There were 3 others in the area being held the next week on April 1st, and I just thought, especially since it's our first one, I don't want to compete with anybody. We've agreed, and I've asked the liability carriers as well to Sharon, if it's inclement weather, can we have it in here in the board room? And they both said, sure, there should be no problems, just make sure all the trip hazards and everything are out of the way. Lori has drawn up a couple of flyers, and we are going to be having those out, probably having one posted on the page, and we will be trying to get them to Armada, Memphis, and Richmond, like K4 ages. I don't know that anyone older than that, you would know you were a teacher. I don't know, you know, I mean, if they're older than 8 or 9, are they going to want to come to an egg hunt? I don't know.
Oh, I would think,
I would think
I
not.
wouldn't think so, unless it was outside and they were hidden. and it was
Yeah,
out.
see, and that's what I'm thinking. We have purchased some items already. They're sitting in our office. We have the eggs that are I'm probably gonna hit the girls up to put candy and stuff in. We've got 740, so we should have plenty. We figured at least 12 for every participant. We were thinking high up 50 there. We did get some other things to put in little bags that we are having decorated to give to everybody. They're just like little linen bags, and they'll have a picture of a bunny on them, and they'll have our RTR Richmond Township Recreation in the letters on the bunny's basket.
Till 1 o'clock, you said.
1 o'clock. And I know, I'm sorry, and you did mention about kids' naps, but our initial thought was that's the warmest part of the day.
Sure.
You know, we are, hang on, there's something else that I got totally, what was I saying?
All the stuff that goes in.
Yeah, we did get the bunny costume today. The bunny costume's at home. We just need to find a bunny. So, yeah, no, I tried looking at my husband, and he's like, you are out of your mind. So, you know, if no one else can do it, I'll do it, but I will be pretty busy that day, I think. So, there is another workshop on February 16th, and Surmet did get the information too, and I plan on being involved in it for the other recreation grants through the state of Michigan. So I'll be watching that and see what we can pick up from there. And that's all I got.
Okay, if you need help with getting flyers to the elementary students, it's not enough, I can certainly.
Great,
help
I
with
will.
that, so.
Thank you.
Or Richmond, just we do the flyer.
On this first grant, will you get a notice yes or no, or will you just not hear?
I believe we'll get a notice, yes or no. I believe that we will. And when I did contact them today, and I did say to them, I was excited to hear about their upcoming webinar. I plan on attending it. I'm just, you know, not sure the direction I should go in. We applied for a Spark grant for phase 1 of the park, which is a walking trail. If we are not awarded that grant, that will then affect what we apply for these other grants. So I said, do you have an estimated date? And of course, I realize they're super busy, but I thought I'd reach and ask. So hopefully we'll hear pretty soon, but we'll hear when we hear.
As far as writing grants going forward, you might want to contact the Planning and Economic Development, because they may assist you in writing those grants.
I had mentioned before, I feel like I have like 45 hours in it, right? And if we do not score relatively well on there, I'm going to feel that I just don't get, like I'm not following what they're looking for. And we could, perhaps hire a professional. They usually get 6% of your grant application, so ours is $500,000, it would be $30,000. But if we are looking at, right? If we are looking at, if you want to spend that much money to get $500,000, is it a good investment? And that would be something we'd have to look at. And also, if we were to apply for, round 2, Sir Met and I have a lot of the facts already there. So that would be something they're not going to have to do. They're going to have all those questions answered, so.
They wrote our grant for the PBR stuff. They ran off, run.
Right, and I think they're familiar with that. I don't know how familiar they'd be with recreation. But I feel like they'd be a good resource for me to contact.
I would just contact them.
Yeah.
They'll tell you.
Yeah.
But they've got people on staff that's all they do is write grants.
Yeah.
That's what they're hired for.
Thank you. I will try to call them tomorrow and just see if they could help.
Yeah.
Thanks. And that is all I have.
Any other questions for Cindy for recreation? Well, thank you so much. Very informative. All right, the next item we have tonight, we're going on to unfinished business. We have some marijuana articles in your packet tonight. Any updates, questions, concerns in that topic?
They're not making as much money as we thought they were going to make.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see all these big children's centers going up in every city that promise but maybe I'm hopeful.
Take anything out of the black market, they don't make much.
Right. For sure.
You're right, Vern.
For sure. Okay, moving on to phone system discussion. I just finally heard from Scott at Tower this afternoon. They're still waiting on some Comcast information before they can give us an estimate on. I'm not sure where their breakdown between them and Comcast is, but said you could please work on something for the next meeting. So I really like to get something going on these phones for Tom's sake. So I am actively working on it, believe me.
Thank you.
So that's just where I'm at on that topic. Next item would be the approval of budget meeting date. So at the February board meeting, we discussed the meeting date for budget meeting of March 4th at 9 a.m. Does that date still work for everybody? Then you want to make sure you're on the.
Yep.
Okay, that's so good with everybody else? So a motion would be in order then to set the budget meeting workshop date for March 4th, 2023 at 9 a.m.
I make a motion to set the workshop for March 4th at 9 o'clock.
Do we have a support?
Support.
All here, guys?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. All right, next item tonight we have is new business. First item is the approval of the 2023 CDBG funds. A motion to discuss.
So moved.
Support.
Or
All right. Well, we heard from our interfaith volunteer caregivers tonight. I know usually we have Care House here. How is the board's feelings on distributing our funds?
I don't know anything about this.
I would just, they were the only ones that showed up.
Yeah.
We can only
Okay.
allocate it to one
Sure.
public service agency. For me, I would just allocate it all to
I
them.
think it sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I mean,
I wish that it was here in Ireland town. I mean, I guess they work with people.
we could make copies of that and then get it, we'll ask Chris if she can post their numbers on the website and make sure of some.
And I feel like they're working on expanding too. I got that impression from,
yeah,
like, she said she'd like to do more in that area.
What is that in town that we have? Something that's in town?
Midwest.
Senior
The Midwest.
The one that's across from the commercial house?
It's senior helpers, isn't
Is
it?
that what it is? Is that the same type of thing? No?
They charge,
Yeah,
at least
you have to
$2.
pay for that.
I will say, I'm pretty excited to go with this one because it's new. That might entice other ones thinking that maybe Care House had the market corner.
Oh.
So that's all we donate to.
Yeah.
Do we know what happened to Carol?
No clue. I've not heard a word.
They knew we were having a public hearing tonight.
Where is the Care House?
It was in the,
They're out of fun.
Yeah, they're on Muscle.
they're a big operation, but it was posted in the paper
Yeah,
on time.
yeah, they work with, like Jordan said, they work with,
And they-
children that are victims
and they
of
do-
sexual, physical
You
abuse.
have people in Richmond Township that they.
Yeah, they're, I think
Yeah.
they helped 9 or something last year in Richmond Township.
Which means maybe it could be, there's not a whole lot of need for it out here. I mean, having a good year, no kids.
Well, we're promoting it too, but get their awareness of it. Maybe if they didn't know it was available, yeah, it might help to get more use out of it.
Jeff, have you had any contact with them this year?
I know they were at the Lennox Township meeting. You know, I know Lennox Township did allocate them some funds, but outside of that, no, I didn't, I've not had any direct contact with them.
Maybe they follow a trail from us.
Yeah, they might.
So,
Interfaith volunteers, that's what it's called? No, interfaith caregivers, that's what it's called?
Yeah.
intertrade volunteer caregivers. So, getting everybody's feelings, motion would be in order then to award the CDBG funds of $2,570 to interfaith volunteer caregivers.
So moved.
Support?
I'll support.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? All right, motion's carried. All right, next item, spongy law discussion. Can I get a motion to discuss? Support. All right, so we heard from your gift tonight. I know it's a little lengthy explanation, but we heard it a few years ago, but knowing that, I want to make sure you got a solid idea as to what this is and why they're asking.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to look it up a little bit. I just was curious. I just wanted to know what they were spraying, if it was harmful, what was going on, and, you know, like a lot of people say that type of things. And she said exactly what I read, that it was, found in the soil, and it was not harmful. However, I did read something that they were saying that it was harmful to the butterflies, but
Someone to get it out
You know.
before that, yeah.
they said that there was a possibility that it could have been harmful to some butterflies, not all, so, you know, but according to what Terry was saying, it was so I thought it was informative.
Okay.
So it seems like that we were doing this anyway, right? This is something that we need to have done, right?
We would like to do it, but it's awful expensive.
It's pricey.
It's how we're gonna, that's one thing. They need the money right now.
yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I thought April, they needed it no later than, or March, but.
So we really can't split it like we, because we had 4,000 already out, it's still there, right?
And capital outlay.
Currently here.
Mhm.
So it's another 4,000 that we did budget, that we're gonna, almost 5,000,
Yeah, 45.
that we're gonna have to,
45, 41, yeah.
we're gonna have to come up with.
That's why I wanted to
Can-
make sure of the second spray, because I thought, was that only just for one?
All right. No, two times we've done it, they've only
So we
started.
Can
only
we do that,
4,000
Kathy, or no?
last year? It was only $4,000 last year?
No, that's what we had in our budget for this year.
Oh.
That's
When we did the budget, I cleared for it.
I would like to see us do it.
I would
wonder
too.
about the money. That's-
You had a miscellaneous category in capital outlay of 3,000. I mean, it was just miscellaneous.
I think that was just something that I followed too. It was always nice to have some miscellaneous there.
So that gave us 7.
Yeah.
And then come amendment time, you know how I can always pull money out of,
Attorney usually really.
I was gonna say attorney fees
are really low.
I'm looking right now and we have $27,000 left out of a $30,000 budget and we are almost 8 months into it yet. So do you feel like we're safe to think we could make an amendment from there?
I most definitely always take that money and use it in other areas, but we are low in other areas though too. This year's gonna be tight, but I think we can do it.
We can do it.
Yeah, I mean, even if we have to make an amendment from the general fund.
Gotta check if it's up there.
Yeah, I just looked through you guys. Something to do.
Okay, I'll say yes, and then you guys can all say, well, she told us. Nobody gets a job anymore.
People are done.
Over budget.
Oh, boy. Okay, so if, with all that being said, I guess the motion would be in order then to approve moving forward with the spraying of the spongy moth.
Using the 40,000 out of the current budget from capital outlay and the regular, the balance of the amount coming out of the general.
I like it.
I think that's a good motion.
We have motion and support.
Support.
There's aye.
Do we need a roll call on that? It's money. Yeah. Okay. Sure, I made a motion. I am an A. And Elaine is, yes, she supported it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was Cindy. Thank you.
And she's a yes. And then Vern,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
all
All right, thank you so much.
those. Not just kidding.
We're all going down, yeah.
There we go. We'll go with it. All right, next item we have is the approval of amendment to the Recreation Advisory Board bylaws.
So gosh, we just approved these and already I'm asking for a change. We've had what, since May meetings, and already I've had the chairman say to me a couple of times, that really seems out of order. I don't like the way we do that. I would like us to approve our agenda before we, approve the minutes. So I asked him at the last meeting, I said, our bylaws state in Article 10 that I can come to the township board and I can ask them for approval to do so. It won't make a difference in anything but the order of business. I mean, we're still going to do all the same things. It's just going to flip those two things. So that is what I'm asking for, is for approval to switch those two items on the agenda.
I have a question. We don't have to do a whole new bylaw or amended bylaw because you're not taking away or giving anything, you're flipping.
But if the board gives me approval to do this, I will go in the bylaws in my computer and I will just, I think I'll probably notate it, like putting amendment made February 9th, 2023 regarding agenda to read as follows. So it will show, but we're not going to have to read down the whole bylaws, just that section.
I'm okay with that. I'll make a motion for it.
Do we have a support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. That will make her very happy.
Okay, do we want to keep our
We do.
rest board people happy?
Yep.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much. Next item we have tonight then would be items for the next agenda.
I did receive a proposal for Nickel and Staff's extended another year to go with them because they are under all our competitors, but they have gone up, so I will give it to you, Chris, and you can bring it to the next meeting.
Sure. Okay, fantastic. So the phone's at. Sure. I think we'll do
The phones should still be on there.
yeah, we'll leave that under unfinished. I hope to have
Yeah,
something get that resolved. by-
That'll stay underneath there, yeah, okay.
So if anybody can think of anything, please don't hesitate to let us know. If nothing else, next item would be call to the board.
So I just want to mention that Tom and I were blessed enough to use the Smart Transport to the airport for our latest trip, and they couldn't have been any more wonderful. And I just wanted to thank Jeff and his staff, very timely and professional, and the vehicles were nothing but super clean, which is what I anticipated they would be, and I just want to mention that. Thank you so much.
And my wife and temporary adopted daughter also uses service
make your flights, you know, for all of you and, you know, the public who might watch this. You know, that's not, we always say schedule about 72 hours, that's not for airport any longer, because it's just, like I say, we're booked every single day for about the next 2 months.
It's a great service.
It's just a terrific service.
Yep.
Well, thank you for that, too. Anything else?
That's it, that's all I got.
The planning commission is doing a public hearing for the solar farm ordinance at our next meeting. So we are moving forward with that. And something about, this came up at the PDR meeting when we did our round table discussion on what's going around in other communities. This voting law where we're going to have 9 days of how is that going to affect us financially?
It's going to really affect us financially, but the state hasn't figured their end out yet.
Okay.
But it also will stop. The only benefits is that's gonna be their absentee vote. So it'll eliminate the absentee voters coming in, instead they'll be able to vote
They'll be able to put it in the tabulator.
later themselves.
And I think on the out for people that are very untrustworthy of the current election and voting system, they're going to want to see their vote go in the tabulator. And the people that wrote that proposal didn't go into the weeds at all. They just thought, gosh, this sounds like a great idea. Well, you now have to have 3 people by law to man a precinct for 9 days. You have to pay them for however long that's going to be. You know, they got to figure out how many tabulators are we going to have to use. Like where I am, I plan on using my absent voting tabulators. But Kathy and I talked about this today. Are they going to make us do totals after every day? I mean, they came out with this, but they have no idea how to implement it. And we both have a May election.
But we have the state realizes they have to work out their end of it all with QBF even, they can't.
Oh, yeah.
How do you stop people from going from one place to another? So until we get some final results, like we banged around the idea of super centers. So like say our senior center, say Columbus wanted to come in and Riley wanted to come in and have all our machines there, and it's a locked place where we could leave them at night. And then you could only, you have to have 2 people there of yours. You won't have, but either way, it's going to be way more than the way the elections are right now. And there's no way out of it. We just got to see our way through it. And they realize what a big mess it's going to be.
You now, instead of sending applications out to everyone for their absent ballots, you just send them on a ballot. And not only do you have to send them on a ballot, which costs probably 4 to 5 times what an application would cost, you have to send them the return envelope with a first-class stamp on it. You cannot bulk mail it for 19.3%. You're going to have to, or 19.3 cents, you're going to put 63 cents on every single one, and you have to send them to everybody on your list.
Regardless whether
if they're going to use it or not. It might sit at their house.
Like I say, this got sent through. At that conference me and Lori went to, that's what we basically did. We just did nothing but brainstorm. They said, we have to take ideas, because if you guys don't help us make some decisions, this is going to happen. It's coming. We can't get out of it. But the people that are being the deciding factor have no clue what we go through. So they wanted us to throw every noodle on the wall. And for a week, we did. And now it's just, when I left, I haven't heard any much more on anything other than the state had said, don't get, sure, everybody's jazzed up, but they still have a lot to fix at the state end with the QEF before it even trickles down to us.
They don't have no answer.
And we're not gonna have any
No,
time.
we have a May election. We have one here, and I have one.
But that election's gonna run as normal.
Well, but we're still going to have to send the ballots out to everyone, and we don't know, do we have to get a new list, or is everyone on a permanent list?
Not on the school election, do you?
No.
On federal elections.
We
On
have
federal
to-
elections, yeah.
We have to do the 9 days for the federal and the state. But the absent voters thing, we still have to send out all ballots.
No, we're supposed to go according to our permanent voters, our
And that I
absentee
didn't
list.
know if they were going to have us make a new list.
They said that it won't affect this
Okay.
election. This election's
God.
gonna run according to
That's
how
what
the old way was,
Right.
right?
Last week.
And we shouldn't have anything, and we won't have anything in August and November, unless,
Something
Yeah, but nothing's really gonna change financially for us until February, but it's gonna change for us in the budget room in March.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
That
add
might
something in.
break our budget.
Yeah.
What's left?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm trying to guesstimate, me and Lori have both been putting our heads together, what we would be paying for all 9 days, and it's gonna be hard. We can come up with some kind of rough
I'll
number.
take them to set the hours you can be open. or
They
not
were,
be
they were
open.
talking about that too, and they're pretty sure it's gonna be 9 to 5. But
That'll still help out some.
we have to have one Republican and one Democrat on board. And of course, we have to supply our two, even though we have a super center, nobody will know what to do with our machines if they jam or, you know what I mean, anybody else. But at the stops, it's just gonna be hard to figure out. It really is. We're hoping their decisions on the state level comes with a lot of direction.
And maybe some money.
Well, yeah.
Money would be good. I heard they might be sending us money for new equipment, for new tabulators before next year, which would be great. To use the 9 days prior.
She wants to give all the money out, she better keep it.
I know, with the $160, you should take it back
She
and
better keep it.
put that ARPA money into,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. It is, I know.
We see we went to choice either.
Unfortunately, I think that's the way the state's going. No choice. You're done.
All right, anything else for calling the board before the election? Okay, hearing none, we have general public comment. General public, okay. Hearing none.
We're just curious.
We just figured we're part of the township, we should know what's going on. That's all.
There you go.
And we've never been to one, so.
Thank you for coming tonight. Well, hearing none, and ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved. Support.
Awesome.
Mr. Brown.
All right.
Commissioner.